In this video, we want to derive we call it almighty formula or formula method in solving a quadratic expression. And the method we're going to follow up to get this expression is what we call the completing of square method. So let's start. The general form of quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. This is the general form of quadratic equation. So how do we manipulate this to get this huge equation? It's very simple. Just follow up the system. So the first point I'm going to do is to isolate this c, which is constant. Okay, we have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. The highest power or the highest degree of a quadratic equation, you can identify it by 2. Then we have x, which has highest degree of 1. And then a, b, c, they are constants. That's all you need to know. So yeah, ax squared plus bx will be equal to take this c across minus c. So divide both sides by the coefficient of x squared, which is this. And if I divide both sides, this a will cancel out. So what we left here, is x squared plus b over ax equal to minus c over a. This is a very good equation, a very wonderful one. So at this point, what is the statement I'm going to do or make? I will say add to both sides. Add to both sides the squares of half the coefficient. Add to both sides the square of half the coefficient of x. So this is the coefficient of x. B over a is the coefficient of x. So when they say add to both sides, the square, what do we mean by the square of half? This is b over a, which is the coefficient of x. Half of it is this. The square of it is like this. So if you expand this, 1 times is b over 2a all squared. So this is what they said you should add. This is this statement. The interpretation of this statement is this. So we're going to add this to both sides of the equation. So we have x squared plus b over a x plus b over 2a all squared equal to, I will still add it to this part, which is b over 2a all squared minus c over a. I've added it. So if you factor out this on the left hand side, you will be having x plus b over 2a all squared. If I expand this expression here, it's going to give this left hand side, which is equal to, what does this mean? B squared is b to the power of 2 is b squared. 2a squared is 4a squared, because 2 is going to square, a is going to square. This square covers everything here. This is going to subtract c over a. All right. So the next point we're going to do, we're making progress. It's not a difficult one. So this method is what we call completing of square method, which you can use in solving any form of quadratic expression. So on the left hand side, what do we have? We have x plus b over 2a all squared equal to, the LCM of the denominator here is 4a squared. Okay, 4a squared goes into 4a squared is 1. 1 times b squared is b squared minus a into this. A will reduce one of this a, remaining 4a. 4a times c give us 4ac. All right. So the next phase is that this square, I'm not comfortable with this square. I need this bracket to be free. And in order for me to free this bracket or this parenthesis we have here, we need to move this square across to the other part. And if this square is going to the other part, it's changing to square root. Or in other ways, you can say take the square root of both sides of the equation. You make it more simple. But if you take this square across this part, it goes with plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. That's what it will give you. All right. So according to solve, you can take the square of the numerator and also the square of the denominator, since we have the general square root of the numerator over the denominator. So this is the same thing as saying x plus b over 2a equal to plus or minus this general square root of this numerator 4ac all over the general square root of 4a squared. And what does it mean when we have this? I cannot do anything about this, all right, because I can't take the square root of a I think it's a negative sign that separates them, not multiplication. And then it has a name, but we're not going to dive deep except when we talk about more of quadratic equation. I'll explain what these terms are all about. All right, but for this, the general square root of 4a, according to Sod, is something as the square root of 4 times the square root of a squared. Square root of 4 is 2, and for a squared, this will cancel, so we have a. So the result we have at the denominator here is 2a. So let's put that into the expression. So at this point, we'll be having x plus b over 2a equal to, we have plus or minus the general square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That is the square root of 4a squared. So finally, I want to take this b over 2a because we want to make x to stand alone. You can see that I'm not paying attention to this. Our concern is to follow the right process to get it right. So I want to isolate this by taking it to the right hand side. So that way I'll be having x equal to, if this crosses, I'll be having minus b over 2a plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now I'm having 2a as the base, all right, the denominators rather. So in order for me to make this look like just a single denominator, I will just have to, let's say, therefore x will be equal to, the LCM of this denominator is what? The LCM of 2a and 2a is 2a. Now watch, 2a divided by 2a will be 1, and that 1 multiplied by minus b will give us minus b. Bring down this plus or minus. 2a divided by 2a again is 1, and 1 times the square root of b squared will just give you the square root of the same thing, b squared minus 4ac. And if you compare this equation to this, you see that they are exactly the same thing. X is here, equal sign is there, minus b is there, plus or minus the general square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. It exactly, and we have been able to done justice to this, and you see how simple this could be. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Just click on that thumbs up button and also subscribe to my channel. And finally, don't forget to share this video if it makes a lot of sense to you. Just share it. Thank you very much and stay subscribed. Peace.